I'd just like to say thanks for everyone for coming out and you know, obviously Phil getting in contact with me and inviting me down. Very, very privileged. I'm surprised a lot of people still remember me, to be honest. Very humbled by it. You do realise that I left in 2005 to go and continue my career in New Zealand, where I ended up staying for 10 years. And due to family health and, you know, with parents and bits and pieces like that, we decided to come home just before Christmas last year. While we was away, you know, we was toying with coming back, and you know, I've got 2 boys, and I was thinking, well, you know, I'm a London boy, I love London, but you know, I don't want to bring my kids up there. So, you know, the first thing I thought of, and I said to my wife, look, the last place we was before we moved away was Exeter, and thoroughly enjoyed my time here. Loved the people, loved the club, and it was a no-brainer. So, like it or not, I'm back in Devon. Place now that I call home. Not going anywhere no more. Well, I don't think so. No, I'm back for good now. Obviously, being away, I did keep an eye on things that were happening. You had a lot of success, and you know, some good times and bad times, I'd say, with promotion and relegation. But it seems that the club is starting, well, and was moving in the right direction. As I say, it's for me, coming back after being away for so long. I mean, I am really humbled with how how I was thought of. I mean, I was only here for 2.5 seasons, and I think it was my first week back, and I've gone down to play snooker at Stars Sports, the sports bar, just at the top.
Yes.
So I'm standing, I'm with a few friends of mine, and I could see this group of guys looking over, and I'm thinking, they're either going to give me a hiding, or they might remember who I am. And anyway, so this guy walks up to me and he goes, he said, we've all been debating. He said, you really look like Sean Devine. I said, well, it's me. I said, you know, it is me. He said, oh, when did you get back? I said, well, about a week ago. So it sort of broke the ice, and they was all having a laugh and a joke. Oh, didn't it look like him? Didn't it look like him? And in the end, one of them had the bottle to come up and ask me, and then we had a couple of games of pool and that, and a drink. So it was nice. But you know, the area that I've moved into, a lot of the guys that I associate with now, all grew up, you know, watching me on the big bank. So a lot of them now are my friends, and you know, sort of look after me and take me out. And so, but no, it's great to be back, and thanks very much for coming. And you know, just fire away with whatever you want to ask, and questions and bits and pieces, and yeah, we'll have a bit of a laugh with it as well.
Do you want to sort of kick off by saying how you got in professional football and your time at Barnet and Wickham?
It's funny because I started my career at Millwall. I got picked up quite late, to be fair. I was playing Sunday morning football. Good standard, Kent League, scoring a lot of goals, and turned up to play Canterbury in Kent, which was, at the time, they was Millwall's youth team, which was going to be going in to do their apprenticeship. So I played the first game. I think we lost 3-2, I got 2 goals there. And then we beat them away, we won 4-2, and I got 2 goals there. But I ended up having a massive argument with their manager. So I thought, anyway, cut a long story short, he comes up to me after, he goes, oh, I'm sorry about what happened. I said, yeah, you know, heat at the moment. He said, oh, would you like to come to Millwall? I thought you wanted to kill me. Not invite me for a trial. And yeah, so I ended up going for a trial, and I signed apprenticeship forms there. I'd done a year, and then I signed pro straight away. During that time, I was, you know, quite successful, but we had a good cup run. We won the FA Youth Cup when I was there. Only the second time in Millwall's history that a team have done it, and probably, you know, looking at football now, they might not ever win it again. So it's, you know, that got. I was invited back to Millwall a few months ago. So I think it's been nearly 25 years since we won that competition. So they invited us back to the club, that whole team. Some of those boys I hadn't seen in 25 years. And I'll tell you what, it was just, what a day. We was presented out on the pitch, we was given medals as well, and it was just a great day, and to be remembered like that, it was really good, really nice. Yep, so after that, I had a year pro, and then I got released, and then I went into the non-league world, which was quite interesting. Had a few clubs, and started to get a little bit disillusioned with football. So I went to America. I was touring around America and bits and pieces like that, and I get a phone call from my dad. A friend of his had took over a club here from Belvedere, wanted me to come home. So anyway, so I said, all right, I'll come back for a year. Played there, and then I moved on to another club called Fisher Athletic. Started scoring goals. In the end, that season I ended up with 42 goals. And a lot of clubs were sniffing around, QPR, West Ham, Frank Lampard Senior was watching me at the time. Went on trial with Leyton Orient, had trials at QPR, nothing happened. And then I just started to get a little bit dissolute, you know, I just thought I'm never gonna get back into the pro game again. And then I get a call from my chairman at Fisher, Greek Cypriot guy. He says, do you want to go and play in Cyprus? Well, you know, won't knock in. It's nice and warm, we'll have a look. So, went out on trial, and done really well. The club wanted to sign me, so I'll come back, and you know, I was getting all my stuff ready. Come the end of the season, the club released that manager, didn't want to keep him, so I was surplus to requirements again. So I thought, oh no, here we go again. But what had happened while I was training there, because you talk about how passionate our fans are and that, I mean, oh my God, they're crazy over there, absolutely mental. I mean, when I first arrived there, and I was part of what they call the foreigners, you're allowed, I think it was 5 in your team or in your squad at once. There was 2,000 people at the training ground watching us train. That's how fanatical they are. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy. So yeah, so I ended up, what had happened was, obviously another club had heard that I'd been trialling with this club and they was going to sign me, so they sent spies out to have a look. So obviously the spy liked me. My details were given to Ammonia Nicosia, which is probably one of the biggest clubs in Cyprus. So I ended up signing for them. I had 3 months out there, which was really good. Won't knock it. Not good nightlife and stuff like that, which was, at my age, at 23, was quite decent. And then the manager at the time was German, so you know what it's like, the history and that, I don't think we really see eye to eye. And then I ended up going to Israel and playing over there for Maccabi Haifa. I had a week there. I'll tell you what, was the longest week I've ever had in my life. I just couldn't wait to get home. Every white van that went past, I thought I was going to end up in the back of it. You never see me again. So it was really frightening. So come back, and then I'll get a phone call. Oh, Barnet want you to go and trial, because the chairman there, Tony Kleanthos, was Greek Cypriot, and Ray Clemenson was manager at the time. So I flew back, played a game on the Thursday, scored 2 goals on me for that game for the reserves, and then funny enough I made my debut against Exeter, my Football League debut against Exeter. I think we won 3-2 and I scored them on my debut in 7 minutes. So I was quite pleased. Went on, had a really good season. I scored 20 goals that year, and then you know, I must have been linked with every club in the Football League at one stage. I think at some stage, but never. The moves never materialised. A lot of it, I'd say, was down to me. Attitude at times was wrong. And then with a little bit of bad luck, I got bad injuries at the wrong times as well. So it was a mix. And then I was Barnet. I was there for 4 years, and just as I was leaving, I wasn't even playing, I was in the reserves. Didn't really get on with the current manager at that time, which was John Still. And he was sort of touting me around. And one of my old coaches that used to be the youth coach at Barnet, Terry Gibson, played for Man United. Yeah, Wimbledon, won the FA Cup for Wimbledon. And I was warming up one night, we had a midweek game, and I was warming up on the side, and I see Terry, and he said, "Oh, so what's happening with you?" Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Well, I don't get on with him, I'm not getting a look in. I'm surplus to requirements." And he said, "Leave it with me." So I get a phone call, the club get a phone call that week, and Laurie Sanchez had got the Wickham job. And then I went there on loan. They were bottom of the league when I went there. Excuse me. And we managed to stay up in Division 1. And I scored 8 goals in 12 games, which helped keep them up. Following season I went on, was top goal scorer at the club. I got 26 goals in League 1. We finished mid-table that year as well. A few clubs were looking. I think Gordon Strachan at the time was quite interested in me, going to Coventry. And then I done my knee, and I never played for 2 years, which was probably one of the darkest times of my career. I mean, I was at a point where I was 27, looking to kick on, scoring goals, really enjoying my football, and then I just get this mystery knee injury. Didn't play for nearly 2 years. At the end of my contract there, I just started playing, regained my fitness, and to be honest, when I first come back, I wasn't the player I was. It took me a hell of a long time to get back to, before I left. I think I went on a run of, I think I scored about 7 or 8 goals, and the game before I left, I scored 2 against Port Vale. I can always remember Laurie Sanchez, he's standing there, and he's shaking his head like that, and he looks round in the stand, he looks at the chairman and he goes, "What are we going to do? Are we going to keep him or are we going to go?" So he calls me in Monday, he says, "Look, we want to keep you, but we can't offer you nothing to the end." So I said, "Well, that's no security for me." And then the club Exeter had put a bid in, which Wickham accepted, and I come down. Thought I was going to sign, then it all went cold, and then I managed to sign, and I've got to say I really just loved it. As soon as I come down there, like, even through what had happened, we got relegated, the club was going through a bad time, but I think that just it really pulled us together, with what people done behind the scenes, the chairman, what Julian and Steve done, and Eamon Dolan, God rest his soul, what he managed, what they and the club and you guys managed to do was just amazing to keep this club going. Yeah, so it was a bit of a obviously sour note that we got relegated after going, picking up at the end of the season and just missing out on the last day. Then we went into the conference again, which I felt with the squad that we had, we should have got promoted. Wasn't to be. Again, missed out on the last day of getting in the playoffs. And then come the second season, we all know, which was when we got the tie against Man United. And when I was at Wickham, I missed the semi-final of the FA Cup. We got to play Liverpool at Aston Villa, and that was the time when I was out with my knee. So for us to get that draw against United sort of made up for me missing that. And then obviously with Alex Inglethorpe, he was the gaffer at the time, and he made me captain, and I was just so made up and privileged to lead the boys out that day, and then obviously the return leg here. And I don't think it's something that I'll ever forget, and I don't think it's something that the supporters will ever forget either. It helped save the club. A lot of people have done a lot of work before that, but it just boosted everything up, and managed to secure the future for a while for the club. And I left, went to New Zealand, and then obviously I've been keeping a track of what's been going on and seeing that you've had some good times with promotions, etc., which has been obviously fantastic. And you know, the current manager, Paul Tisdale's done a great job. Fingers crossed, you know, he carries on and he gets the support that he needs to move the club in the right direction and get us back to where they need to be going, and that's maybe back to Division 1. That's me in a nutshell, really. Sorry if I see a few of you are asleep, but no, I'm only joking. Phil was nodding off then. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
You said you were relatively late starting in football, so what's your age?
I got into the program, well, I signed apprentice forms when I was 17. I'd never played, never was at an academy. You know, a lot of my friends at the time were playing for Tottenham, Arsenal, from the age of 12 right the way through. I never did, and just kept playing, you know, good standard Sunday morning football, and, you know, managed to get spotted by this guy called John McCall, who was a scout for Millwall. Never forget him, and you know, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had a career in football, which, you know, I feel a lot of young lads, or that's what they aspire to be. And you know, I don't claim to be the greatest player there ever was, but I was lucky enough, I had a knack of scoring goals, and I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to play.
Do you think that the boys are coming into the pro game so early that they miss out on the grounding in football? You see a lot of boys come through later. We've got David Wheeler here, come through a bit later after uni.
Yep.
And that didn't suffer for it.
No.
Came into the game as an adult, and I think some of the players look better for it.
I agree. I think, and it's funny that you brought it up, because at that time when I got into, you know, with clubs and stuff, with pro clubs, a lot of my friends then, you know, had been playing for 6-7 years, you know, playing probably 2-3 times a week for their Sunday club, and then playing for their pro club, and then probably representing their school as well. And a few of these lads were the next best things, and burnt out, never went on. Whereas I ticked along doing what I was doing. Same with the guy that you mentioned, got in late, 16, 17, and, you know, managed to make a career of that. But it's never, you know, I say to people now, you know, I'm coaching Heathertree United at the moment, and again, massive club in Devon. It's probably got the oldest history in Devon football. But I say to my lads, it's never too late. Never too. I got back in the pro game at 23. Ian Wright, I think, was 24, nearly 25. So, and made
Tony Keller was 26, I think.
So, yeah, there you go. Tony, we was talking about it.
He's our greatest goal scorer.
Yeah, we was talking about this, funny enough, the other day, and it's never too late. And my boys, my son now, he's 15, turning 16 shortly, but he played a lot of rugby in New Zealand. He was playing rugby league, and he's come back, wants to get back into his football again, and, you know, I'm not going to do it, Dad. I said, well, why? I said, I never got picked up till I was late. I come out of the game and got back in it. There's always people watching. You just never know.
There's a couple of really good examples in the Premiership at the minute, aren't there? I mean, there's Vardy and Charlie Austin, who could get a call up to the England squad. Who knows after yesterday? But,
Yeah.
I mean, he was a brickie 10 years ago, and look at him now. So there's always a chance.
There's always that rough diamond that will come from the non-league game and get their chance. Vardy's the ideal, you know, person for that.
But the chances of that is millions to one.
Oh, it is,
I mean,
but
that was unusual, Vardy. Because you see, you've got the other way out. Sorry, you've got the other way with Wayne Rooney, haven't you?
Yeah.
He came in at 16, and what they're saying is he's burnt out now at 30, whereas people are coming at 19 and 20. They've got another 3 years, so they can go to 33, 34. But Wayne Rooney's burnt out at 29, 30. This is what they're saying, because of his Premiership football.
And I totally agree with you, and
Yeah.
I think, you know, looking back on when I played, and you'd probably say your peak time of your career is from 28 to 32. and then you'll start to drop off. And that's a good point, you know, with what's going on with Rooney and, oh, we need to rest and blah, blah, blah. But
Well, he's burnt out. He's brilliant.
I think a lot of it
he's
is,
burnt
yeah.
out now.
Yeah.
That's it. He's finished. Yeah.
But I mean, you look at the games we play in the lower leagues and the lower levels, that's more harder than what you're doing.
Yes.
You know, they're getting
Yes.
more recovery time, they're getting the best of everything. Come down and play 50 odd games at this level. There's no squad rotation.
No, no.
You don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Saturday, Tuesday, then your cup competitions.
True.
So it does, you know, they're living in cuckoo land sometimes, I think.
But you don't want to rest if you're playing football. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I'd hate to be rotated.
yeah.
Because, especially as a goal scorer, when you start scoring, you get in that groove and you just want to continue. And to come out, you know, you think, because for me, I scored in flurries. You know, I'd start off, I wouldn't score for 4 games, and bang, I'd hit 2, and then I'd go on a run. So that's why my ratio always looked good. But I wouldn't score for 7 games, and bang, I did that trick, and it just, that's the way I was. So for me, I would rather be
Like that.
ticking over.
You don't seem to get the top players filtering down, finishing their career in lower leagues like they used to back in the 70s and 80s. Is it because they're paid so much now they don't need to? Or is it because the game is so much faster in the lower leagues that they wouldn't really want to? Because there's more skill in our league now than ever was back in 4th division days in the 70s and 80s. So.
But if you look at, I think a lot of the players now, because they are getting really well looked after, a lot of these guys in the Premier League, probably the lowest they'll ever drop down now is the Championship. You don't really see many coming down this far because they're that fit. They're probably not playing as many games, so they can still compete at that level, up to 34, 35, in my opinion. So, but it is an interesting point.
I think it's basically the big wages. I mean, they're paying like 100,000 a week, and it comes down to Exeter City or whatever they pay, you know. It's almost like a train fare down there.
Talking about that.
No, but that's it. Football's since the Premiership has been in my opinion, has actually ruined football.
Absolutely, agree with you.
And also, I mean, I don't like to say it, but I think when it was a maximum wage, when I was young and that, it's a different ball game then. We used to have like England internationals coming down playing for Exeter because it wasn't much difference because £20 was the top wage. Stanley Matthews, Tom Finney, people like that, you know, and so the gap was the gap was big. They was on say £20 a week and our boys was on 7 and 10, 11, you know, back in those days.
Yeah.
But you know, so it's a completely you can't really compare it really.
No, it has gone ludicrous. It is a bit crazy, but you know, it is a short career. So I'd never ever begrudge anyone earning what they can earn. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't say no. I don't think anyone in here would. But I think it's getting to a point where there does need to be a salary cap put in because it's just, you know, when is it? Well, it ain't going to be long before.
It's not going to happen, is it? Because the businesses, you've got to stop businesses ploughing money into it. Businesses only put money into it because they know what they're getting out.
Getting out, exactly.
So if they're pumping in billions into that club and you keep that salary, who's getting all them billions?
But it's
Director?
But it's all foreign companies, and all the money's going out of UK because you've got foreign owners all at the top level now. You've got most of them are foreign players earning all the high wages. So all that money being generated within the UK, whether it be through TV subscriptions or whatever, or through the commercial side of football clubs, all going out of the country, isn't it?
Definitely.
On the radio, Rooney have scored on the radio this week. Rooney have signed the contract for 420,000 a week.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
Well, this
That's
is
on the
what,
telly. That was on the radios.
how long is it going to be before you get the first player to earn £1 million a week? It's not going to be far away, is it?
Oh, no,
I reckon
no.
in the next 4 years, 3 years.
No, that's coming in. I mean,
If you take that to its
Ronaldo-
I mean, that's 300 and something thousand pound a week in tax. I mean, anybody in this room would be quite happy with 300.
So there's going offshore.
I think Ronaldo's on what is it, 500 grand a week now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ronaldo, Real Madrid, they've just done a deal with him. So he's on £500,000 a week.
No, it's not going to be long. But where's the ceiling? Where does it stop?
That's the problem, isn't it? It's not just England, is it, where you've got to do the Quater Caps? It's right through. It's just not going to happen.
Well, look at all these leagues now that are
Yes.
coming up around the world, in China.
Yeah,
The money that they're paying players is unbelievable.
Well, they're coming here now and buying up the clubs
Clubs
here.
here, yeah.
Look at the City. They're half in with City now, aren't they?
I mean, the boy
City.
that was at Southampton, Pele, Pell, that plays for Italy, he got offered £250,000 a week to go and play. He was probably earning half of that at South, not even, probably not even 100k.
No,
You're not going to turn it down,
No,
are you?
you're not. It's true.
It's
true. So how did you go with your managers, all your different managers? Were they pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm still in contact with Ray Clements now. He sends me a birthday message every year, which is really nice. Yeah, for someone of Ray's stature, play for England, and what he's done in the game is.
Is he retired now?
Yes, yeah. I don't know if he's still. I don't think he's still involved with England. So I think he's fully retired now.
He was ill, wasn't he?
He was ill. Yeah, he was ill. But he's on the mend because we done a charity game for a girl here that's got cancer, and a friend of mine, his boss owns one of the suites at Wembley. So as a treat, they treated her and her partner to go to Wembley to watch one of the England games midweek, and he was in there, and funny enough, Ray Clements come in, because you get people walk round to the boxes, ex-England players, internationals and stuff, and he come into the box and started talking, and he asked the guy why he was here, and he said, a friend of mine, Sean Devine, blah blah blah. So he used to play for me. So they started obviously having a chat about myself, and so it's just a small world, but no, I got on with Ray, really got on with Ray well.
Sanchez?
Got on with Laurie really well. Obviously, when I come back from a knee injury, we didn't. Like people said, we fall out. We didn't fall out. Obviously, it was he had his opinion and didn't think I was the player that I was before, which was fair comment. Probably I wasn't until I got back up and running again. He was decent. Didn't get on with John Steele. Won't say much about that one.
Go on. No one's listening.
Trying to think who else. And I was lucky enough to have. Quite many managers did I have there? Well, I had two good ones down here. Obviously, Eamon. Very, very good, very passionate. Enjoyed playing for him, and obviously Alex when he was here. Yeah. So.
What about the two? Was it? Forgive me for asking this, but I can't remember exactly when you came to Exeter. Was it the year we got relegated? Was that?
Yes. Yeah.
So what about the
2003.
two? We had the two, didn't we?
Gary
At the
Peters.
start of the season.
Yeah.
We had Gary Peters. He took over near the end. He nearly kept us up.
The two that started off.
Neil McNabb and Gary Bennett. No, he was at the start of the
What were they
season,
like
John.
then? What were they?
To be fair, I think I only had a week with Neil, I think. So
Didn't last long, did he?
yeah, he didn't
Stay
know.
on.
And sorry, excuse me, the vibe that I got, he didn't really get on. Players didn't really like him that much. And then we had Gary come in, and
Nearly saved us, didn't he?
yeah, he was unlucky. Yeah, he done a good job, Gary. Very old school, And then it was good to play under Eamon and Alex, to be fair.
Sean, can I ask you what it was like living and playing football in New Zealand?
Yeah, of course you can.
Is that a change?
Amazing. To be honest, the best 10 years of my life. Went out, as I say, went in 2005, probably at the end of my career, and it was the inaugural season of the A-League, which is the Australian League. So I was lucky enough to play the first season that league started. As you probably know now, it's obviously got bigger and bigger and bigger. They're getting better players going over every year. When I went there, I think Dwight York was the biggest name. He was playing for Sydney at the time. But no, it was great. I was travelling, to Australia probably every other week, and at that time I had a fear of flying, so I don't know where I got that. But on a personal note, I couldn't have wish for a better place to bring my boys up. We literally live 2 minutes from the beach.
So in North Auckland, was it?
Yeah, I had 8 years in Auckland, and then I had 2 down in Christchurch just after the earthquakes.
Yeah.
So, but for the first, as I say, 8 years, my boys literally grew up on the beach, and then we moved down to Christchurch, which was unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. With the earthquakes and what it done, it just devastated the city.
I was there last year, and it's still not really recovered.
It's going to take a good, I reckon, another 8 to 10 years before that place is up. They're still didn't not even knocked down some of the buildings yet.
Terrible problems on insurance, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
still insurance companies not paying out. When we were over there, New Zealanders were very bitter talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Still no settlement.
You
after
can
all that.
walk around and peer into a cafe boarded up, you can still see everything as it was when people walked out at the time.
It was, obviously we had a lot of aftershocks when we was there. I'll tell you what, it is frightening. I mean, probably we had one good shake. I think it was about 5.4, and I remember just standing there, and it's like the floor like moves like this. So you're standing here, and then everything starts rattling. And oh my God, what's going on here? It's really, it's quite scary, to be honest. And that was a big one because a lot of my friends I spoke to when we had the big rattle, and they said they really thought that was going to be another big one. They was going to get hit with a big one because that was how it started with the big 2 that they got. So, but no, it was like a war zone. You go through, Christchurch city centre. It just looks like, places have been bombed and stuff like that. But lovely place to live. Lovely place to live. I absolutely loved it there, 2 years.
So you'd finished playing by then, so what were you doing in
Yeah, I probably ended up finished playing in 2007. Didn't do too much for the first 5 years. And then I worked for an event scaffold company where I was in charge of logistics of stuff all around New Zealand for sporting events. So I'd done that for a year, and then I went down to Christchurch to work for a company called NHP as their warehouse manager and product consultant. So I had 2 years there and absolutely loved it, but it was time to come home, time to be with the family. And I miss me Saturday football and the banter, and their banter's not like ours. I struggled, they used to look at me. So it was nice to get home and get back amongst your own.
Did you do any coaching over there?
Yeah, I coached I coached up in Auckland. I had a season with a team called Manaray were there. We finished mid-table, had a very young side, so we'd done well. And then I coached down in Christchurch because they got 2 leagues. They got a winter and a summer league. So I coached in the winter league in Auckland, and then I coached in the winter league in Christchurch as well. And probably for one of the biggest teams in Christchurch, Cashmere Technical, they've won the Chatham Cup quite a few times, which is the equivalent to our FA Cup. And I coached their reserve side, and I probably had full of youngsters, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So I had one guy that was 28, and we won the reserve league, which was a men's league at that time. So that was, good achievement for myself. And then I went on to coach Canterbury United, which is in the, they play in the Summer League in the ASB Premiership. So I had a season there. So, and we finished about, it was 8th, I think, out of 10. So it wasn't bad. Obviously, we didn't have the resources like the big clubs, the Auckland clubs, but that was good. Good experience. Opened my eyes a lot to what you need to do coaching wise and stuff like that. It's a hard job. Not only have you got to deal with tactics and the way you want to play, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with that. Basically, you're not
A nanny.
a nanny, psychiatrist at times. You've got about 4 or 5 jobs rolled into one. So, and I think, when you look at these people that do coach and do manage, like with Paul, what he's doing here, you don't realise it ain't just go out on the training field and turn up. You're getting, especially with social media now, you're open to it of people's opinions, which they are entitled to. But you know, reading that, it's you know, if it's negative, it's not the best thing to read. So
I deselected myself from all of them. I just got fed up with reading all the stupid.
yeah, I've never myself never. I don't really. The only one I could really go on was Facebook to keep in touch with my family over here. So, but
How difficult, you mentioned you're involved with Haversham, but how difficult is it when you're coaching at that level, not to get frustrated, bearing in mind you've played at a higher level? Is there a problem with that, or do you have to kind of adjust yourself in a way?
I've had to adjust myself quite a lot, and that was a big learning curve for me when I started in New Zealand, because, and it happens with youngsters these days. It's like when I was younger, I'd travel anywhere to go and play football. You know, my mum had to get me in. I'd come home from the party and I was soaking wet, full of mud, and just wanted to play football. You know, at 17, 18, I was travelling right the way across London to go and play. Whereas like lads, can't be bothered, I've got to walk down the road. That's what you get. It's just so frustrating. And it took me a bit of time to, obviously being in a professional game, you want to bring those standards over, but you obviously got to realise, no, they're not professionals. My level at the moment, no, they're not getting paid. So it's you still got to instill some values, but you can't expect them to be professionals. I mean, Hevertree never had a proper side last year. They never even trained. We train once a week now. We've got a decent squad. We've got a squad of 18. We won our first 4 games. We got beat Saturday. But again, you're fighting all the time, because this time of the year people go away. So I've never had the same 11 to pick from one week to another. I had 7 players away this week, and I had 1 player that had to go on the bench. He was injured, but I said, look, just sit on the bench so it looks like we've got subs. The week before that, I had to go on the bench, I had to play. So I thought, we're 1-0 up in the cup, coasting. Looked at the clock, 86 minutes gone. Our forward had cramped up a bit, so I said, look, said to the guy that helps me, put me on, just kill time. What happens? They score in injury time. I have to pay extra time for another half an hour. You can imagine, couldn't you?
Did you win? Did you win?
Yeah, on penalties, yeah. That's why I was pleased.
Did you score?
No, I didn't take one. I can't take penalties now. God dear. If I still remember that, well, I think the ball's still up in the big bank one. I took one here against Shrewsbury. Yeah, so no, you sort of got to put it into perspective with what they do. But I've got a good bunch, and it only takes one in your team that don't want to do what you want to do, and then it becomes a problem, and then they start chipping at someone else. Then it go. I had that problem.
So how do you deal with that? Take them away and just have a quiet word with them?
You try and talk to them. You try and say, well, look, you know. But then at the end of the day, now I've learned that you've just got to go. Well, if it's not for you, go. Not for you, go, because what you're going to do, as talented as they may be, you might end up losing 5 because of one. Because if all people's characters are different, and if you get someone that moans and whinges and thinks he's got, and then someone that's not that strong of a character will go in their shell, and they won't turn up, they won't play, especially at my level. They'll go, I can't handle it.
Yes,
He's doing
at that level, yeah,
yeah.
you understand it.
Yeah. And you do get it at a pro level. I mean, I know that, but they go in their shell. You know, you see it. You see it with players.
Because everybody can't get on together. You must have played in teams where players don't get on, but you go out on that pitch and you play.
Yeah, I mean,
you've just got to forget your differences between the fullback and the centre forward.
You're like a family. You go in every day.
Yeah.
You're there every day. I mean, you probably see your teammates more than you see your missus, to be honest. You do, and your family.
It's just like families, they get up to.
Yeah, well, look how families fall out arguing and stuff, and it's no different in a football team. But what you've got to do, you've got to, you know, there's people that I never really liked playing with, and there's probably a lot of people that didn't like playing with me. But you know, you put that aside, and not for 90 minutes. But if you can't put that aside, that's when it becomes a problem. And you know, this is where being a psychiatrist does help.
Who was your favourite strike partner then, when you were playing? Sorry, I'll get back to talk about that. At Barnet, I had Lee Hodges that went to play for Plymouth. He was obviously at Tottenham and stuff as well as a kid, but he was quality. Me and him just knew what each other was doing. It was really strange, you know. I'd just have to play one touch and I could just pop it off, and I knew him, and vice versa. At Wickham, I'd say I had two guys there. I played up front with a guy called Paul Emblem. His brother played for Wolves, Neil Emblem, and a guy called Andy Baird, which he ruptured his knee and had to retire. And then obviously here, Steve Flack, because we complemented each other. I'm not a target man, never have been. I need to play off a big fella, and Steve was ideal for me. You know, he may have got a lot of stick and that and blah blah blah, but people didn't see what he does. He took a lot of pressure off me, and he enabled me to go and do what I needed to do by holding the ball up, by winning little flick-ons, and that's where, you know, that's what you call a partnership. So yeah, those four.
I was just going to say that I didn't realise that you hadn't, that you were only at Exeter for such a short time, and I think therefore you must have made. It seems like you were here a lot longer than that. So you must have made. What do you think? Why do you think you made such an impression on the fans? Was it just that you were scoring shed loads of goals, or is it just that you're a nice bloke?
Or both. Some would probably say not, but we talk about that now, like with my friends. I mean, I've come back after 10 years of being away, and they all say to me, "You don't realise the impact that you had on the club." And I just said, "Well, I was only here 3 years," but he said, "Yeah, but it seemed like you was here for a decade." And I've come back after being away for a decade, and they say to me, "It's like you've never been away." It's really, I've come back in, and you know, I still talk to a lot of people around town and bits and pieces like that that remember me from playing and stuff. And I think it was a bit of both. Obviously, I did do well. I scored goals and bits and pieces, but obviously I
charm, didn't you?
Oh, that song is. I mean, they still sing it now. You know, it's
one ever.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's. I mean, I cringe now when I hear it because they all sing it when I walk in the park. But no, it's when I was here. You know, obviously my wife worked at the club, and the way I looked at it, I tried to get myself involved with you guys. I'd always go in the bar downstairs after, talk to people, try and do as much as we could with events or stuff that we had, and just really try and get out in the community. And that's, I think, you know, that's what I done. I went out and built a rapport with the supporters, and you know, it's put me in good stead really, and I wanted to sort of give back a little bit because of what you guys done with what was going on with the club as well, and we all chipped in, we all helped, you know, and through a bad time. So it's a bit of both, I think.
It's not something that happens quite so much these days, is it? Because a lot of the players these days are based away from Exeter, aren't they? So as you were based locally,
yeah,
you'd go around the city afterwards and you'd meet up with people. So a lot of the players these days get in the car and drive back to Bristol or wherever it is they live. So that aspect of the side has gone, isn't it, in a way, to a degree?
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to Steve Flack the other day, and we were just talking about sort of players that are still in and around the area, even like ex-players. There's not many of us. I think Scott Eiley's still around here. Obviously myself, Steve, Danny Clay, Les is down in Torquay, he lives down there now, Les Affle. But there's a Kev Miller, I think, still about this way, but there's probably a handful that you could say, but current squad I wouldn't know, but I don't think there's many. The only one I know is more Taylor really. Yeah, so I've seen him out and about town.
Just the way the world has changed.
Yeah.
Just in that short time since you were here.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I also think that people remember you taking us to Man United. I mean, everybody remembers that. That Man United.
And it was funny because this gentleman told me a nice story when he come in. They had to choose from the mascots for the
Mascots, yeah.
Man United phoned down and said, like, you can have 11 mascots come up. And is it your granddaughter? She was the only girl picked out of
Well, it was all mascots for been over the season. So she was a mascot. So they had a draw. They put all the names in the hat. And hers was the first name out. So she didn't have a ticket. So the daughter had to buy 2 tickets. Tickets on the bus. And go up there.
Yep.
And when they got there, it was arguing who was going to walk out of the show. So the guy in charge said, right, there's only one girl paid him for that.
So she walked out. She walked out with me that day.
Yeah, she's 21, and she still watches the video of it.
Tell her I don't look like that now. No, it was a lovely story. Very
Right
nice.
there.
I'll be looking at that now.
On Wikipedia, it said that when you moved to Exeter, it was 70,000 feet. I mean, that's a lot of money. Was that the feet, you know? Or,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
200,000 when you moved to Barnet?
Yeah, 220,000
Yeah.
from Barnet to Wickham.
Yeah. It was big money for those days.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was a named footballer.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably
but
for
the thing is that, you know, when a person got a name that, you know, general public know, you know, even like Ruben Reid signing, everybody, oh, we got a named footballer, whereas a lot of the players that come here, where did he come from? You know, and obviously that's...
But for City,
that's it, for Exeter.
Was a heck of a lot of money.
You could have been the last player that City paid him. Fee for? Or was
No,
it
yeah, I think it's probably...
Yeah, all this is pre-Bosman though. Since Bosman, club just waits.
Yeah.
Player
no,
in a contract.
Well, you
That's the
need
end of the
to.
story.
I think
so
I
that's
might-
why, you know, it's a different world.
Mine still might be one of the highest that the club have paid, I think.
Mm.
We was talking about it the other day, yeah.
It must be.
Does that matter to you though as a player? I mean, you know nothing about the fee, that's negotiating fee. But if, say, it's a big amount of money as a player, do you feel you have to live up to that, or do you not worry about it?
No, it's weird. You just don't. It never sort of entered my mind. I thought, I see, like when I moved from obviously Barnet to Wickham, and you know the fee was decent for lower level football, from moving to one lower league club to another. 220,000. There's people moving for 20 million now. Like, it's nothing. So I'd rather be in that bracket. But no, obviously, no. It didn't really. All I wanted to do was just score goals, basically, just play and score goals.
Did you have any grounds that you particularly liked playing on, or any you didn't like playing on?
Oh dear.
You just happy to play anywhere?
Colchester. Every time I've been to Colchester, I got sent off. Home and
I'm sure
away.
that's the ground's fault.
No. I'd say I didn't really like going up north, but I used to score a lot of goals up there, like going to teams like them with Hartlepool and Darlington and places like that. And yeah, so.
You nearly got a goal against United here, didn't you, when that ball came over?
Yeah, we was talking about that as well. Yeah, I just I lost my
Half
footing.
chance, it was half chance.
No, I should have done a lot better, because I remember Alex Janine crossed it in, and Gary Neville's got caught underneath it, and I see it, and I was shaping up, and as I've gone to hit it, my foot's just gone, and I've sort of scuffed it. But I did actually score, but I was about 10 yards offside. I think Tim Howard still died. He still died for it though. So.
Sean, what was the best goal you ever scored? Do you think?
It was a chip. I saw you do a chip on YouTube. I can't remember who it was against.
Lovely
chip, beautiful chip over the keeper.
Yeah, Forest Green.
Yeah, Forest Green. 5-2.
Yeah, 5-2. Yeah.
Did you score a hat trick in that?
No, I got 2.
You got 2.
Got 2. Yeah.
That goal was superb.
Yeah, that was decent.
Yeah, that was the first game of that season. Yeah.
Probably, I was at Barnet and we was playing in the FA Cup, and we was 2-0 down to Farnborough Town in the conference. There was about 10 minutes to go, and I received the ball just in their half on the right, and I went on a mazy run. I just got into the edge of the box, and I hit it. I'm not right-footed, but I hit it with the outside of my right foot, and I bent it, And you know when you get the stanchion bit in the goal, the ball got stuck in there.
Oh yeah.
So that was one.
Yeah.
And then we're 2-1, and then we're in injury time. And then our goalkeepers obviously pumped the ball forward. One of our it's bounced, and one of our midfielders was going to hit it. And I said, "Well set, me." And he's just as it's bounced, he set it like that, and I've come up again right foot. And I've hit it from 35 yards, it's gone in the top corner. Yeah. And it was funny because Alan Mallory was interviewed that because they used to show all the FA Cup goals on Match of the Day in the evening. And on the interview he said if those 2 goals were in the Premier League, you still would have been talking about them now. So probably those 2.